Laura lived all by herself in a small apartment on the second floor of an older building. The neighborhood was usually pretty quiet, but something about the deep stillness of the night always made her skin crawl. It's why she had a ritual. Every single night before bed, she would pull her curtains shut, making sure they were drawn so tightly that not even a sliver of light could get in or out. She wanted a solid barrier between her and whatever was lurking in the darkness outside. One evening, after a particularly grueling day at work, she dragged herself home, utterly exhausted. She collapsed into bed, barely remembering to brush her teeth. In her fatigue, she made a critical mistake. She forgot about the curtains, leaving them half open, a gaping invitation to the night. Around 3 a.m., she woke up with a violent jolt. Her chest was tight, her breath caught in her throat, and she had the suffocating feeling of being watched. You know that feeling? The one where the hair on your arms stands up because you just know someone's eyes are on you. Blinking against the dim orange glow of the streetlight filtering into her room, she slowly, hesitantly, turned her head toward the window. And then her heart stopped. A tall, slender figure stood just outside, perfectly still. His silhouette was faint against the dim light, but it was unmistakably human. He was facing her window directly, even from her second-floor apartment. She could feel the intense, heavy weight of his gaze burning into her. Paralyzed with terror for a moment, Laura finally scrambled for her phone, her fingers fumbling as she dialed for help. She whispered her address to the dispatcher, her voice trembling. But when she risked a glance back at the window, he was gone. He had vanished, as if he'd never been there at all, melting back into the shadows of the night. The police arrived a short while later. They swept the area with their flashlights, searching the grounds below her window, the bushes, the alleyway. They found nothing. No footprints in the soft dirt, no broken twigs, no sign that anyone had been standing there at all. They tried to reassure her, suggesting it was probably just her imagination playing tricks on her. Maybe it was a shadow, one officer said, or the way the branches of that tree look in the dark. But Laura knew. She knew what she saw wasn't a trick of the light. It was real. The next night, she was consumed by paranoia. She triple-checked the curtains, making sure they were clamped shut. For good measure, she even dragged a heavy armchair and pushed it right up against the window, as if that could somehow reinforce the glass against whatever was out there. She finally fell into a restless sleep. But at exactly 3 a.m., she was jolted awake again. This time, it wasn't a feeling. It was the buzz of her phone on the nightstand. Half asleep, she reached for it, her mind groggy. A new message had arrived, but there was no name, no number, just an anonymous sender. Her blood ran cold as she opened it. It was a photo of her bedroom, taken from the outside, from the exact perspective of someone standing at her window. She dropped the phone as if it were on fire, a small gasp escaping her lips. Her hands trembled uncontrollably. She didn't dare open the curtains. She didn't even want to look in their direction. But sleep was impossible now. All night, she lay rigid in her bed, feeling it again. That same heavy, watchful presence, pressing against the other side of the glass, separated from her by only a few millimeters of window and a thin layer of fabric. Night after night, the terrifying ritual continued. Always at 3 a.m., always a new photo. Sometimes it was a close-up of her face while she slept, her expression peaceful, completely unaware. Other times it was a picture of her empty apartment, taken while she was out at work, proving that the watcher knew her schedule. Laura was unraveling. She changed the locks on her doors, a futile gesture she knew wouldn't help. She called the police again, but they were growing tired of her calls, treating her like a hysterical woman. She even rearranged all her bedroom furniture, blocking the window completely with a heavy bookshelf. Nothing worked. The messages kept coming, a constant, silent torment in the dead of night. One morning, a frantic knocking echoed through her apartment. It was her neighbor from the building across the street. When she opened the door, she saw he was pale and visibly shaken. He lived on the 3rd floor, and his balcony gave him a direct line of sight to her window. "Laura," he whispered, his voice trembling as he looked past her into the apartment. I was up late last night. I couldn't sleep, and I saw something. He hesitated, swallowing hard. I saw someone outside your apartment. All night. Just standing there. Laura's heart pounded in her chest. On the ground? She asked, though she already knew the answer. Her neighbor shook his head, his eyes wide with a terror that mirrored her own. No, he said, his voice barely audible. That's the thing. He wasn't on the ground. He was pressed against your window, on the second floor. Laura never answered him. She just stared, the color draining from her face. That morning, her apartment was found empty. The police had been called by her concerned neighbor after she didn't answer his calls. The curtains were drawn tightly shut. The bookshelf was still pressed against the window. Her phone lay on the floor, the screen shattered. And there, on the cold glass of the window, visible in the condensation from the morning air, was the clear, perfect imprint of two hands. Thanks for watching, everyone. This story really gets under your skin, doesn't it? If you enjoyed this dive into the darkness, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more unsettling tales. We'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.